right. Good morning, everybody. It is 10 a.m. Saturday, March 20th, 2021, and the regular meeting of the Libertarian Party of Ohio's Executive Committee will now come to order. All right. Are there any disclosures to be made, conflicts of interest, or others pertinent to the business on the agenda?
No.
All right, hearing none, we'll move forward to the adoption of the agenda. Actually, I'm sorry, a bit of out of order there. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Yes. Jim Cavoli.
Present.
Patrick Glasgow.
Present.
Helen Gilson. Here. John Fuller.
Here.
Christopher Gill.
Here.
Derek Strelo.
Here.
Dustin Nanner.
Expect Mr. Nano late today.
He will be here in a few minutes.
Is that it?
Yes.
All right.
Perfect. So we do have quorum presently.
Excellent. And I think everyone's good on the math for votes. If you want the totals read, let me know. But pretty easy. All right. Now we will move to the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda as proposed?
No.
I move the adoption of the agenda.
Second.
The adoption of the agenda has been moved and seconded. Without objection, the agenda is adopted. Approval of minutes from previous meetings, Ms. Flower.
Anyone have any questions, any clarification needed on the minutes of the January meeting? Okay.
Which were distributed in advance of the meeting, yes?
Yes, yes, they were.
I move to
anyone
adopt.
have any questions? What?
I move to
Mr.
adopt.
Strelo moved there.
Oh, okay.
Second.
Okay. All right. And for the February meeting, any questions, concerns, clarifications for the February minutes?
Have nothing substantive.
Would anyone like to move to adopt?
I already did.
Can we, yeah.
Oh, for both?
Mr. Strelo, could you clarify, was that
Just for
a motion to adopt in full both
Oh.
meetings?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Perfect.
Is there a second?
So moved. Seconded.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adopt the minutes of the previous meetings as submitted by the secretary. Barring objection, the minutes are adopted. Review of business conducted between meetings briefly. A few good things to celebrate that happened between meetings. We recognized the Butler County affiliate. We got Helen here, who was the treasurer as well as our vice chair. So congratulations to Butler County, as well as to Huron County, whose new county affiliate was recognized as well. So thank you all to the folks involved in the affiliation effort, the continuing growth of those county parties. This is the biggest key to our success in the future, and I'm thrilled to see the development in both Butler and Huron counties, and look forward to the results of several more organizing meetings as soon as this evening, which are scheduled throughout the state.
In addition, Montgomery also had it.
Yes, Montgomery did hold their
2 days ago.
meeting. We have not yet recognized them. I expect that'll be done in short order. And yes, so further congratulations to Montgomery County. We are getting to that matter of business forthwith. All right. With that, we have a couple of special presentations to the executive committee today by invitation and request of members. We can begin with Ohioans to Stop Executions.
Hey everyone, good morning. Do you want me to just go ahead and jump in?
Yep, you can go ahead and start. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me this morning. My name is Hannah Cubbins. I'm the Executive Director of Ohioans to Stop Executions. It is the only single-issue death penalty repeal nonprofit organization in the state of Ohio. And before I jump into my spiel, while the organization is nonpartisan, I personally identify as libertarian. And so on a personal note, it's just great to be connected with fellow Liberty folks. I was actually a lefty when I started this work, and then worked in the legislature and saw how the process worked, or rather didn't work, and found my home here. So it's a little bit about me. But the organization was founded in the 1980s as a response to the state bringing back capital punishment. So obviously there was no opportunity to do much legislative work at the time. So over the first 10 or 20 years the organization was around, it was a lot of grassroots education and mobilizing, protest holding, vigil hosting on days of executions and things like that. But as time went on, we found more and more opportunities for reform. And the most significant reform we had success with was the passage of House Bill 136. It was signed into law by the governor in January, and that law exempts individuals with serious mental illness from receiving a death sentence. So we're very happy with that reform and happy it got passed and signed into law. However, we have found in our assessment of the legislature that lawmakers and Ohioans are ready for more. They're ready for full repeal. So a little bit about how we got here. Back in 2018, when Governor DeWine was elected, our organization was very nervous because we were looking at an incredibly aggressive execution schedule, over 24 in the next, 2 or 3 years under his administration. And we had only known him as Attorney General, who of course is tasked with carrying out the law, not necessarily changing it. However, really early on into Governor DeWine's administration, we had this stars aligning kind of moment with this massive evidentiary hearing about Ohio's lethal injection protocol, which essentially found that 24 out of 26 inmates executed with this protocol suffered pulmonary edema. It created a fire pouring into the veins type of sensation, which obviously brings up Eighth Amendment concerns. And having seen this information, the governor then said, "We're not torturing people to death on my watch." So he ordered the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation to find an alternative method, or another protocol, To this day, they have not found one. Pharmaceutical companies do not want their drugs being used in executions. And so as DeWine granted reprieve after reprieve of these execution dates, he kept citing the lack of access to drugs, but also we strongly believe that he, would be with us as a pro-life Catholic man. So given the fact that we were actively fighting off executions, that really gave the organization space and time to do a temperature check of the legislature. And often in the movement, people assume that folks on the left side of the political spectrum oppose the death penalty, and on the right, they're in favor of it. But this is such a weird unicorn of an issue. People on the left, right, everyone in between can look at this policy and just see it for what it is, which is irreparable, bad, big government policy. And so Ohio went from being very low on the list of national priorities to skyrocketing to the top. And we had a lot of national eyes on us, which prompted me to form a coalition of organizations in state and national to really strategize and think about, okay, how are we going to get a repeal bill through? The support's there. So what do we need to do to get it over the finish line? So there are a lot of organizations involved in this movement. Conservatives concerned about the death penalty as a national organization. Hannah Cox is their national manager and is a political commentator, works for FEE, so you might have seen her work. We also work with the ACLU, NAACP, Equal Justice USA, Eighth Amendment Project, and a whole other slew of organizations who are helping making this happen. So now here we are with two bills. They're identical, one in the House, one in the Senate, both bipartisan sponsored, both with the prime sponsors and in the co-sponsor list. And, in terms of timeline, we would really like to see the Senate bill make it out of that chamber by the end of this year, if not earlier, with the House to then follow after. And then, the idea of the governor signing it into law, hopefully in the lame duck session of 2022. So I had reached out to various LP county various LP organizations on the county level to gauge any sort of interest on being a partner in this movement. None of the things that I have in mind are heavy lifts, but I guess my question for you all is I would love to know a little bit more about what the LP has done in Ohio on issue-based advocacy, if anything, because that might help better inform me and how to plug you all in if there is interest. Of course, it has to be there first. So I will stop rambling, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much for coming by to read us into what Ohioans to Stop Executions has been up to and kind of where Ohio is standing on this issue. In general, as I'm sure you where the Libertarian Party stands against capital punishment. Frankly, we don't think the government does a very good job of even imprisoning people correctly or appropriately, let alone being allowed to kill them, being quite outside of bounds as far as a good and proper thing for our country and for humanity at large. You know, I think this is a pretty easy one for us from an issues perspective to support. I mean, capital punishment, depending on one's own interpretations, violates any number of accords about human rights and just the general dignity of humans the world over. As far as issues-based advocacy in Ohio, we have been somewhat limited in our approach. A lot of our actual issues advocacy in Ohio has been centered around ballot access and election procedures and reform for hopefully obvious reasons, as that has a disproportionate impact on our day-to-day operations and ability to be a contender in the political scene in Ohio. We continue to contend with some of the most restrictive ballot access laws in the country. But on any issues like this, when they kind of reach ahead, we're usually happy to opine and provide the information to our own affiliates and members at large, especially when there's the opportunity to make some feedback directly to legislators about issues that align with our platform, our values, and the change we would like to see in the world. So I expect that there's plenty of opportunity for us to cooperate and even possibly advocate for these bills or the initiative more generally. Certainly, that's not something that we could do without the consent of the committee at large, and we'll have an opportunity later in the meeting, of course, to make any specific commitments if the body would like. But yeah, I'm certainly enthusiastic about the direction that the issue of capital punishment has been heading in the U.S., especially over the course of the last 20 or so years, trending back towards a, I'd say, more sensible and just form of just not doing it. There's not a lot of gray area when it comes to ending lives. I will also pause here if there's any other members of the committee with questions or comments to make.
Yeah,
I was curious. Well, go ahead.
I'll echo what Chair Cavoli said. I think that what you're doing is great work, and we really appreciate it. My biggest question, I think, would just be what's your biggest need? Is it a PR issue? What can we help with? Is it a PR thing that you need? Do you need volunteers? Is it resources? What's your biggest ask? If we could fill anything, what's your biggest ask?
Yeah, so it could be a few different things. We really want to increasingly build this like diverse chorus of voices calling for the end of the death penalty. So obviously I've mentioned, conservative Republican organizations and then ACLU over here, and we want the LP to be engaged in this as well because it's another voice in that chorus of calling for this. I think that, you mentioned, sending this out to your networks. So really just spreading information is the first kind of step that would be really helpful so that legislators are hearing from everyone that this is what Ohioans want. As we get further along in the campaign, there will be more targeted asks about, certain legislative districts that we may be having trouble in. So any, intel on those things that you may have would be super helpful. I can put more of this like in an email that's more succinct and eloquent than I'm being right now, but I think a variety of things. I just saw an article for the blog. Yeah, that kind of stuff is great. If you all, I know we have 2 organizations right now who have created action alerts, Equal Justice USA and Witness to Innocence. And they have created action links where you can generate emails to your legislator. I think we've sent over 1,000, if not more of those now. So I don't know if that's in your capacity. I don't know what software you all use. Those are just a few things that we've asked of our partners in supporting this effort. And it's really up to you all in your capacity and in your interest as to what you do. I can just provide a menu of options. Does that make sense?
Very much so.
I was essentially going to ask the same thing as John, but I would like to add if there's any way you could provide us with a summary of what legislatures are on board, what groups are on board, just so we have a quick reference to go, well, we have there's these 20 sponsors of the bill in the Senate and the House or whatever, so we know who we might have to work on harder. If they're not a co-sponsor and they haven't announced, support, then we could probably start hammering them with emails. For those of us in the district, we could actually start doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to send a follow-up. I don't know if you wanted the information right now. It'd be easier for me to send a follow-up email with folks.
When you have it, that's fine.
Okay. Right now I can just post the links to the legislation in the chat for reference if that's helpful, but I'm happy to follow up with all that info.
Thank you.
Anything further?
I don't have anything, but if anyone else has questions, I'm happy to answer them. Well, I guess I would just ask. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who should I be sending the follow-up email to? I know Patrick and I have been in communication, but who should I send that to?
Yeah, you can continue communicating with Patrick, and between him and I, we'll make sure that information gets to the decision makers and action takers as appropriate.
Okay.
Otherwise, I was just going to say, I greatly appreciate you coming by, and the fact that we can take one of the absolute shortest lines in the national platform. 1.8 is the shortest. I think it's the shortest plank.
I think it is, yes.
The entirety of it, which I'll just read here for the sake of rhetoric. We oppose the administration of the death penalty by the state. It doesn't get a lot more cut and dry than that. I'm very happy to have any kind of progress being made on one of the most straightforward goals that we have here in Ohio. And thank you very much for your time, and look forward to working together to advance this and hopefully end this new era of death in Ohio.
Yeah, it's not. Yep, it's not if but when.
Yes. When you send the follow-up email, would you also please include the links to the actual legislation as well for our reference?
Yep,
Thank
absolutely.
you very much.
All right. Well, thank you so much again. I hope you all have a great rest of your meeting and rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. We will move along through the agenda to our next special presentation regarding Accountability Now, Ohio.
Go. Should
I
stand somewhere?
Yeah, if you want to come over up here,
Okay.
get slightly better
Sure.
sound. If you want to pull the podium out, you can.
I think I'm okay.
All right.
For those who didn't see me come in, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm Kevin Kahn, and I am at Hamilton County, and am the political director for the LPO at the moment. I am here to talk about Accountability Now Ohio, which is a newly formed organization that is seeking to put on the ballot in 2022 a single issue of eliminating the use of qualified immunity and sovereign immunity for use in civil cases here in Ohio court. So with me representing Accountability Now is Cynthia Brown. A lot of you have met Miss Cynthia over the past year. Cynthia is the founder of the De-Escalate Ohio Now Heartbeat Movement Group, who was very strong supporters of the Jorgensen Cohen campaign and the congressional candidates. And I'd like to present this as something that the Libertarian Party of Ohio consider giving an endorsement to, as the elimination of qualified immunity is an issue which is specifically one that the Libertarian Party has addressed in a nationwide manner. If we all remember last summer, a couple days after the George Floyd murder, Congressman Amash, while he's still in the House, authored House Resolution 7085, which would have been a national bill to eliminate qualified immunity from all 50 states. Immediately, he got co-sponsors from both the Democratic side and one Republican, making it the first tripartisan co-sponsored bill in the history of the country. Unfortunately, like with a lot of legislation, it got buried in the Dem-Republican war of who was going to message better and never got brought to the floor for a vote. Since then, and maybe you can help me with this, there are several states who have, on their own initiative, gone to eliminate qualified immunity. And Colorado has passed one.
Yes.
And currently working is Washington, New Mexico, Massachusetts.
Idaho, Texas.
So
Massachusetts, multiple states.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so this isn't a unique movement to Ohio. And I think that in the situation where we are right now, it would be a great exposure for us to support a movement like this.
Mhm.
We will find natural allies to the Libertarian Party who didn't know that we existed, kind of like the Escalade Ohio Now. And we are both in the mechanics trying to achieve the same goal of getting signatures to put something on the ballot. The Accountability Now Ohio target will be 1 million by May of 2022. Our target, I think, is 100,000. So we're about 10%. And the same people who will consider signing ours will consider signing theirs and vice versa. And I think there's a lot of synergy that we can get by supporting this. And the bill, like Congressman Amash's, is not long. The amendment, it's 3 pages. It's up on the website, accountabilitynowOhio.org. I didn't plan on reading it. I know I was given 15 minutes, but I'm a fan of brevity. I'll be happy to take any questions on the issue. AccountabilitynowOhio.org.
As reference for members, the proposed text of the ballot initiative was provided in advance. I did give you notice a few days ago of that in the meeting folder. I have read it, and I will second the fact that it seems rather to the point, and without a bunch of superfluous language, which is critically important for these kinds of initiatives. Although I would say 3 pages is maybe ambitious given the spacing and the very short overrun on page 3. And I'll allow the body at large to make any comments or questions at this time if you'd like regarding the presentation.
Guess the big question, just kind of like the last presentation, what would be needed from us?
Right now, what we are looking to do is just utilize when we get to, right now we're at a stage where we are collecting 1,000 signatures out of Franklin, Montgomery, and Hamilton County.
Okay.
When we get to that stage, we will submit to the Secretary of State. And we've talked about possibly getting some of our higher profile national libertarians involved, maybe invite Spike Cohn, or if Mr. Amash would like to come or say something to give us some more national exposure, because this is national news as with the other states when we submit it. Once it's registered with the Secretary of State, then we might want to coordinate more with some of the local Libertarian chapters as far as,
Okay.
is it a 44 county effort?
44 counties.
44 county effort to get to the 1 million signatures.
It's really 440, but we know that they're gonna look thoroughly through the signatures. So
Of
we'll be on
course.
the safe side and
Of
double
course.
it, actually,
Right.
yes.
Right.
An important note, by September, we'll probably have 44 counties affiliated.
So, yep. And we're on track with that.
That's doable.
Yeah, and I'll just, even though the question hasn't been asked, I heard in the last presentation it was, so I will throw in there are a couple of other organizations involved, one being the Escalade Ohio Now, another being Families Unite Against Police Brutality,
Okay.
which is a national organization but has an Ohio chapter that's headquartered in Dayton. Is that correct? Yeah.
You know, one thing might be worth looking into. Michael Sweeney is really involved in Franklin County for ballot access legislation. And this stuff. There was a lawsuit in Ohio that, at least for ballot access, if someone prints their name instead of signing it, they can't throw out the petition. I don't understand exactly how this works, but it is something where he's now going through trying to retrain petition getters, because if some people print their name, they legally cannot throw out the hat that they normally do. I don't know if that applies. I believe it applies to all forms of petitions, but he would be the person to reach out for this. And if it applies, you definitely want to train your petition getters on that, because it will cut the argument in
Great.
half.
Both Cynthia and I know Michael. There is a candidate, or was a candidate from the De-Escalate Ohio Now group who had planned on running for Columbus City Council as a Libertarian.
Yeah.
And Michael was kind of heading up that assistance effort.
In reference to that, everyone's disappointment abounds on the way that finished out. That was a well put together. That was about to be a really well put together run.
Yeah.
It was. I mean,
But thank you for that. We will keep in touch with Michael as the signature collection effort goes on.
Anyone online?
Because I've had my hand up for a bit. So I read through it. There's a typo in one of the paragraphs. I forget which one. It says qualified immunity instead of qualified immunity. Other than that, I didn't really see anything that stood out. My question is, has a lawyer looked this over yet?
That we have two lawyers associated with Accountability Now Ohio in Columbus, Donald Wiggins and Chandni Patel, who is in Dayton, or is she here in Columbus? In Columbus.
As well as multiple constitutional lawyers. Morgan Harper looked over it, so they said the language was just fine.
Okay.
We will bring it across to Donald about the typo.
It's an E.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typos are fine. That's something that the Attorney General will let you
it's
fix.
clerical.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And then somebody else said something about, I couldn't really hear them. I think they're in the office. Something about printed signatures or something. In the state of Ohio, all petitions require black or blue ink written signature from the person who is signing. Unless they're disabled and have power of attorney who is able to sign for them. That is the only circumstance that they don't have to sign.
As we've just recently discovered, let's just be sure we're on top of the law, because they're going to be sticklers about it. So.
Yeah. We could do this probably for a very long time. I would ask we try and refrain from devolving into a commiseration, even if mutually, about the petitioning requirements in Ohio. Any other comments or questions online?
do you have a goal date about the first 1,000 signatures
By the end of March.
in March?
Yes.
Do you have an idea how close you are? Because that's coming up quick.
Yeah, not close yet. It'll probably push into April.
Okay.
We are organizing the first. We've had the one kickoff meeting in Montgomery County already that was attended by almost 200 people, 150 plus, and we're organizing a Hamilton County meeting for April 3rd as the a big date. And I am reaching out to nonpartisan candidates for mayor and city council there, not only on their stance on qualified immunity, but to see their stance on other things and who they might be looking for endorsements from in their races to try to give us a little bit of a higher profile as well.
Very good. It sounds like the initiative is off to a good start, and I think certainly on the back of the LP introduced, as you referenced, and Qualified Immunity Act, which was unfortunately killed by the legislature at the time.
But has been reintroduced. Which is nice.
Been.
Yes.
That's nice to see. That we may have an opportunity to see the same, at least in Ohio, which is, of course, the Libertarian Party of Ohio's first priority. Anything further?
No.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I will note that we do have an opportunity later on the agenda to review that ballot initiative in business and make any endorsement, recommendation, or commitment that we would like as an organization as well. That brings us to the end of the special presentations to the committee. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate ourselves on running approximately 24 minutes ahead of schedule. And bring us to the ever exciting reports from party officers. We'll begin with you, Ms. Flower.
All right. So I don't have a formal written report. My goal over the next couple of months is to drop into as many of the affiliation meetings as possible to just introduce myself and basically reaffirm that the XCOM, our biggest goal this year, is the affiliate growth. So the first couple I checked in with, they were great. They're super enthusiastic. So I'm hoping that we just continue this growth, and I will give more specifics in the next meeting.
All right. Very good. Office of the Treasurer, Mr. Moeller.
Yeah, I put the report up last night. I apologize for getting out about a day late. Hopefully everyone got a chance to look at it. The financial summary is attached. We can look over. It has a couple other things I wanted to briefly report. The first one, just in the interest of transparency, there was a $36 overdraft fee that was entirely my fault for confusing bank account numbers as I'm just getting familiar with our bank account. So I made a donation in the amount of that overdraft fee to cover it, but only calling that out just in interest of transparency. The other things, the previous executive committee had passed a motion to open a building account. The deputy treasurer and I went to U.S. Bank branch and started the initial process of that. I just saw an email come through this morning from them. I need to, I think, sign one more document and send back. But we should have a building account with U.S. Bank open soon, and that building account will be able to accept corporate donations. I am investigating BitPay, other ways to accept crypto donations, and I think between this meeting and our next meeting, expect something in chat about that, and hopefully with the goal of next meeting taking some action on that, or potentially between meetings. The last couple things, Deputy Treasurer Linda Comstock, since she was treasurer for the last committee, has been donating in kind QuickBooks Online for a discounted introductory rate. The QuickBooks Online is in some ways overkill and in some ways doesn't meet the needs of what we're using. So I've looked into a couple different platforms, and Chair Cavoli suggested a few different platforms. I think that a platform called Accounting is a good long-term solution for this, and I've talked with Jim about it, both from a committee and an IT perspective. And I think that barring any objections from other folks, I think that that's what we'll move toward and cease with Linda donating in kind that QuickBooks Online subscription. And the very last thing is we, as a committee, need to establish some process for affiliates to request earmark funds and also for them to use our CRM if those two things are still desired. So if those people request earmark funds and use our CRMs, can they use the LPO expense support to do that? And that's something that we should also discuss relatively soon moving forward. So that's kind of a lot that I've pieced through, but any questions, comments for me?
No, I would just on the back of all those things. First off, thank you for your action on all of the topics of interest that have been referred to you, as well as thanks to Linda for the in-kind donations she's been making, and look forward to relieving her of that. And certainly, as far as the procedures for the CRM usage, and especially as tracking contributions and handling the financial side of that, we will definitely follow up on. I'll actually leave a good chunk of that between Helen and Patrick and I, but we will take that up and start looking at that as soon as next week. Or no, the week after. I forget what week we have our meetings. Anyway, next couple weeks. Anything else for Mr. Mueller? All right, thank you, sir. Vice Chair.
Okay, so I did not file a written report this month. We're going to review a couple things from last month. The first being we talked about divisional reorganization and spin up. The divisions have mostly been reorganized. We have a couple of job postings that have been made. Scholarship essay contest, we've gone ahead and pulled. I've got a list of this side project I've been working on. We've got the list of all the high schools in Ohio that are eligible. It's like 1,600 high schools. And so we're probably going to push it out to 22 based on costs. And I'm estimating the budget right now and what we're looking at, what we're going to do for reward. But that is on my long term. Upcoming events. The big one I'm focusing on right now is the 2021 conference, and I will defer to that conference committee's report to discuss the specifics, but I am specifically engaged on that. And then staffing updates, I'm sure it'll be discussed later, but Guy Merrill was fired as the IT director recently. We are posting the job again. We are still currently looking for 5 regional liaisons. The jobs have been posted. If you are interested in many of the opportunities or volunteer positions with the LPO, you can check out lpo.org/jobs for a full listing of CENTCOM and XCOM volunteer positions, as well as some internship opportunities for college students that may be tuning in. But that's kind of what's going on in my world, on top of kind of starting to work with some other supervision and going on with the new county affiliate spin up. So.
Anything further for Mr. Glasgow? And my office, last and probably least. As Mr. Glasgow referenced, we have a litany of open positions and are open to accepting help from any Libertarian in Ohio who would like to contribute, and in some cases, Libertarians outside of Ohio as well. The pay is great because good feelings are a dividend that really just keeps on giving, right? So would encourage everyone to please do that. Otherwise, some of the business that I've been tending to, separate from the matters that Patrick mentioned, which we've been collaborating on along the way, is a kind of bulk revision to the structure of our policies and standard operating procedures documents. In general, we've run into a couple of challenges with that. The first of which is that it, in quite simple terms, violates accepted best practices today to combine procedures and policies into the same place. There are 4 different purposes. They serve different needs, and they're presently very, very, very intertwined in the existing document. So I'm trying to reorganize all of that, as well as bring forward a couple of proposals for the committee regarding policies where we might have gaps or need a bit of an update. So I don't know exactly when that will complete. I have begun as of this point in time. I hope that that will not drag on beyond a month or two. But I'm happy to answer any questions and work with any other members that might have suggestions, especially based on recent or further past events. We've had a couple of situations in the last several years which have cast a rather harsh light on our need to perform this little review of all of the policies and at least identify the gaps that we have, collect them together, and make this more understandable to members of the party. So that is one of my big priorities. The other one continues to be dealing with the moving pieces behind the scenes to set up a coordinated statewide ballot access drive, and that's just hard. Other than that, I have not much else to report at this time. Hopefully, we can get those activities taken care of. One of the things that I would like to get toward in the back part of the year, especially, is hopefully we have a fairly normal cycle of universities coming back into session and so on, would be to try and solicit some speaking time from various mildly politically oriented groups, majors, departments at universities throughout the state. And then make myself available and others in the party who would like to do that. So if anyone has a particular interest in public speaking or specifically speaking to universities, let me know. Would be happy to accept collaborators on trying to get some more libertarian speakers out there around the state. And as groups begin to come back meeting together, it would be great for one of the first things they come together and hear to be a message from the Libertarian Party. All right, that concludes my report. Anything that folks would like to ask or have clarified out of that?
How do people contact you if they're interested in speaking?
Anyone interested in speaking can email me directly or just submit via lpo.org/contact. All right. We will move to reports from National Committee members. I'm waiting on some more information about the other national committees that just finished accepting applications as they get to picking out who sits where, as far as who's in Ohio that might want time at these meetings. But in the meantime, we do have the beloved Region 3 representative in Mr. Nana, if you'd like to report on any activities there.
I believe they just posted all of the people from Ohio that got appointed in the general. Somebody did it. Somebody posted the names. There's only two. It's Travis Irvine on ballot access and some guy named Nate that I've never heard of on IS committee, I guess. So that's those two from Ohio that weren't already on, that we didn't already know about. I don't know. I somehow doubt Travis is going to come to our meeting. But you can always ask. The JBH more or less named the interim chair of ballot access to organize the first ballot access committee meeting. So we'll be doing that next year. We received committees, I think, yesterday. So that's what's going on with committees. There's a lot going on right now. It might be easier to accept questions. Otherwise, I'm going to be rambling on for like 30 minutes. Otherwise, I can touch on some key things, but there's like a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, I would look at the proposals around the membership sign up that the chair put out the other week. I'm not sure where that's at or what it looks like the momentum behind that is, but I would like to express enthusiastic support for that proposal.
Yeah, it was unanimously passed at the last meeting.
Okay.
So it's it's similar but not the same to the last membership sharing agreement that we had in the past. For people who don't know, back in the day, I think it started in the 80s. There was a unified membership program, and I think they called it the Unified Membership Program. And it was where basically you would go to sign up for the state, and it would push you to sign up for national. If you went to sign up for national and they knew where you live because you put your city and state in, they push you to sign up for your state. Just a nice way to share revenue and membership and push membership to both directions. We know from past data that when the program was active, there was much more crossover between the two membership pools. So that's always a good thing. And I think we've learned a little bit from some of the mistakes from the last program. So this one should be a lot better. I don't think it's hammered out yet. I think the vote, if I remember right, that we took was to initiate the program, and then we're going to have to probably vote one more time to completely finalize it, but I don't anticipate it hitting roadblocks. So that should be coming down the pipe fairly shortly. Trying to think. The regional training is going to be in Indiana. I think some of you already knew that. We decided that it was going to kind of cannibalize our own training event to hold it in Ohio. Kentucky didn't really, geographically, I talked to Gary, and then I also talked to Kara. Geographically, we didn't feel Kentucky made sense for the reason because people in North Michigan and the UP would have a hard time getting there. So we really figured, same reason for Michigan and the people from Kentucky, so we really thought it had to be Ohio or Indiana. And like I said, financially for us, it made more sense to allow Indiana to have this one. That way we can hold a successful fundraiser later in the summer. And that actually brings me to another topic. The National Party is having a 50th anniversary celebration, which was supposed to have been in April, but got pushed back because of COVID. It's happening in August, and I just found out within the last couple of days, it's actually the last week of August. So when we get that contract in the mail, and we'll talk about this later for the convention, we might need to call Hilton and see if we can go back a week. That way we're not interfering with the 50th anniversary event. That way
just a quick correction, that's for conference, yeah, the conflict.
2021, yeah, conference,
yeah,
not convention. It's I forget what they're calling the 50th anniversary event, but yeah, and that would be out in Colorado. So that's going on. I'm trying to think what else is going on. There's quite a bit of stuff last meeting. There's a good bit of individual data, and by what I mean by that is like voter information, like income level, interests, issues, stances, and one of our larger donors is interested in possibly acquiring it. So we're kind of waiting on what's going on with that. I can't divulge too many details because some of it was an executive committee or executive session rather. But the short of it is that we might be acquiring some data on the national level, which would in turn turn into data for Ohio, because whatever Ohio data we get will be sent out to the states just like it always is with the data dump. So we'll have that information hopefully for free. We shouldn't have to do anything for it. If that ends up happening, it's not a for sure thing yet, so we'll see. But it's supposed to be, I think, 3 million records, maybe more than that, across the country, or maybe it's 30 million, something like that. Anyhow, so it would be either way. It's going to be like, probably at least 10,000 records for Ohio. So we'll see what's up. I'll keep you guys posted on that. I can't think of anything else major going on right now. I went down to the Kentucky convention last couple weeks ago. I think it was 2 weekends ago. It was a good time. Saw Joe Jorgensen. They're doing their thing down there. Spinning up county parties, kind of similar to what we're doing up here. So.
Mr. Strillo, did you have a question for Mr. Nana?
For Mr. Nana and the group at large, the name of that other person from Ohio that was mentioned in JBH's notice was Nate Dinette or Dene. I reached
Yes.
out to Mama Mac to see if she had ever heard of him, and she hadn't. I'm just thinking that if this person's getting involved in something with National from Ohio, maybe we should reach out.
I expect
So-
I expect he will have abundant contact from various people in the state
He's,
party,
uh,
given the recent
He's reached out to us
appointment.
before.
There are a few people who have had contact with him in the past.
Thank you.
He's been around and he's reached out. We just failed on our end to get him into a position before he got swiped up by National. So
Yeah, IS committee is really low bandwidth, and they like, to be honest with you guys, to be candid, the way it's structured right now, I don't see it succeeding, and I don't see them having much cohesiveness. It's kind of like a ragtag group of people that all have different ideas. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll be proved wrong and they'll all come together. But usually, how that works when a bunch of libertarians have a bunch of different ideas, they just fight. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if they get any. Plus, IS committee doesn't really. They've kind of got neutered when we changed the policy manual. IS committee doesn't really do as much anymore, so they're kind of more of an advisory type thing. It's really weird.
Well,
It's a
yeah, I mean,
committee.
I would only say on that specific group and that specific role, I think that's probably a good thing. We all have, I think, a lot of contact with various people who have had opinions one way or the other over time. But I think the biggest issue that the IS committee has had in the past is that the manner of operation of a committee and the manner of the work that they were expected to do not mesh well. And I would second the notion that they're probably not destined for abundant success without some additional organizational change. But I don't have specific recommendations, so.
No, my recommendation in general to the LNC is always that IT isn't committee work. So why is there an IT committee in general? We should have a permanent IT professional, but I haven't won that fight yet.
Well, if there's ever anything I can do to help you in that, let me know.
Yes, I mean, National telling you would like to have a professional IT person on hand so that they can help the states, so that we're not using contracted help. You know, we have Andy Jacobs. He's great. I would rather see him in a actual employed role where he has set hours and times rather than, oh, well, he's working, so now we're billed out to him. It's a whole different level of commitment. We can call him on weekends and he won't be as mad, just, one of those things.
Anything further?
I don't have anything. I can answer questions, but I'm good.
Well, thank you. All right. We have reports from party divisions up next. We are storming well ahead of the agenda. I would propose a brief 7-minute break for the sake of everyone's ability to stretch, use the restrooms, etc. So, barring objections, we'll stand at ease until 11 a.m.
you're going to mute the.
We'll be
something.
Cops were just glad that they didn't have to go actually arrest somebody. And it was like, well, you could.
It's often a cousin of mine where he was
Okay, we're unmuted.
got
All right.
video his electoral opponents getting signs.
Sorry for the
And
slight
we're
delay
back.
there. We are back to order at 11:02 for reports from party divisions. We'll begin with the political division. Mr. Khan, the written report is on drive for the members as well. And
So this time,
there you go. I'll lead off with thanking you for a thoroughly detailed written report.
you're welcome, and I'm sorry I didn't put it in the right folder. I have not gone through CRM and folder training yet, so I don't know where
It's all
everything is.
good.
I am totally
Finding
fine.
my way, but I did find the last report that Mr. Glasgow had posted and used it as a template, and some of it I didn't even change, which enabled me to do it. And I will attempt not to use my entire 15 minutes as well. The first part of the report, if you haven't seen it, just lists the active bills. My only comment is I was pleased to see that there are a lot more bills to let's say coordinate licensures with other states. Of course, we'd like to see them eliminated, but this is a step in the right direction. I think there were 4 or 5. I would also like to congratulate the state of Ohio on their decision to allow owls to participate in falconry sport because
I'm just glad there's appropriate advocacy for such.
yes,
Right?
and,
Oh,
and
man.
birds of prey can identify however they so choose and should not be restricted from participation. So, hopefully that will pass. The current projects that I'm working on, it's amazing what they spend their time. Primarily has to do with the 2021 elections, as well as how I can help impact the ballot access drive, as well as working with organizations like Accountability Now Ohio and ranked choice voting, and possibly the eliminate the death penalty in Ohio, and how I can play a role to coordinate. I think right now I listed that we had, let me see here, 69 cases for potential candidates in 2021. 6 have already been certified to the ballot. One, which is Mr. Nana, and I have not asked him for an update, but had formed a campaign finance at that stage. I have been going through the CRM and going through the candidates who had started back pretty much in November that Mr. Glasgow had contacted in November, and then again in February, early February, sending out a third reminder saying, are you starting or not? Because primaries are coming right up, and I think we will be culling that number down soon. We are also getting via LP National as well as LPO website interest for 2022 elections. We have 74 cases started, and as I've noted, 15 for the important governor's race that will determine ballot access once we get it back, and then going forward after that. I have been spending time, not in the mechanics of setting them up with the field development group, but attending as many of the local county chapters, especially as they spin up into affiliates as I can. I've personally attended a couple, I've virtually attended a couple, reaching out saying, as you develop candidates, send them my way. If you have people that you need convincing to run, send them my way, and I will do what I can. And I would, from this division, I would like to try to finalize a go date on the collection of the start of the ballot access campaign, because I would like to see give candidates as much time as possible to say that they're running as libertarians in 2022 in some of those important races. I have not yet been contacted or instructed or asked on how to help with candidate training. I am available to do that. That is my responsibility to plan. let me know, and who the resources I should be talking to as far as doing that, and I can do that.
Any questions or comments on the political divisions report?
You said one more time that you do currently have trainings available to get people to want to run races?
I do not know. On the February 6th report, that was a category. That there are no training scheduled. There are still no training scheduled. If that is something that you would like me to plan.
We can talk at the next directors meeting about getting one set up. They can be fairly simple, where we've got a bunch of great speakers here in Ohio that have run local races.
Yes.
They're probably going to run local races again this year. And we can get some things going there. And you and I can talk offline about that. But and that's something that we can set up Zoom for, or set up WebEx for, and we can broadcast via WebEx and the YouTube channel to do some great training for, either a day, because we did a day session last year, I believe. And then I'm sure we can also work with the conference planning committee to include some sort of candidate track potentially, bringing in some national training as well.
Okay, and I know that Kara Schultz is doing hers, and we broadcast that. And one thing that I left out, I am going to put together, it looks like it will probably be just a Discord channel for our current 2021 candidates. The 6 or 7 that we have are all at the municipal level, either mayoral or city council. I have asked Cassandra Fryman if she would join in so that they can bounce ideas off each other and talk about different platforms.
Instead of
other than Mr. Nana, the others are all in Southwest Ohio. I have no information of anybody in North or Northeast Ohio running at the moment.
I will say, instead of Discord, let's try to bring them into
I was gonna say.
LPO chat.
You can make your own channel.
I have not announced the platform.
Okay.
I was just thinking Discord because I know one of
Anyway,
our
it's
candidates
easy.
is banned from Messenger, and I think that might be
Well,
an issue going in and out through the years.
Well, and that's the best part of sticking on our platform.
we control the
We're in
access.
charge.
So I think that's great.
Speaking for myself, I have a basically hour to hour and a half, depending on how we want to do it, that's ready to go for just a general how to write a campaign plan. Just all the questions you want to start with to decide if you're going to run or not, all the way through to how to decide how you're going to fundraise, how to decide how to look at the demographics of your district, whatever. So that is available pretty much anytime. I can record it, I can do it over Zoom, whatever we need to do. But that's also available for you guys as well. Like I say, it's just an hour to an hour and a half, and it's the very basics. So it's not like super advanced.
Distributing.
I know that as a caucus organizer in Ohio, we've been having people come to speak to us, and then we record it on Zoom and send it out to our list.
That's
Might grab one of you for that.
we have a YouTube channel, so
Yep. And if as far as any of the supporting resources that you need, feel free to wayfinding through Patrick to other divisions. I know that there's plenty of IT resources available, and as Jen pointed out, plenty of people who have done
pushing on my weakness here.
People who have done some of these talks before as well. So, and if there's anything I can do directly to help you.
I did okay with Facebook with my campaign.
You did great.
But and
Keep it simple.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Sir.
ready for the me show.
All right. Yep, it's about time for the mostly Patrick Glasgow show because we have a bunch of vacancies.
Boom.
With respect to the finance division, firstly.
Okay, pulling up finance. I'm going to start off. I'm sharing my screen right now. This is kind of my go-to that I have set up on my CRM. The first being that we can talk about donations received over the past several months. As you can see right now, we are averaging over $2,000 a month, which is right on target. We did have a lifetime membership add-in this year, this month at $1,500. So that's why March is already sitting at $2,600 on the 20th. And there is another 450 in recurring that we expect before the end of the month that I know about. I think the total recurring before the end of the month is like 600. So March will be a good month. However, new members is declining, so we're going to have to push out some more advertising on bringing in new membership. So far, we're only at 14 new members for the month of March. Last month, we finished out nice at 19, which is still trying to meet our, we're averaging just under 20, and my goal is 20 new members a month, and we're trying to push at that point. Current sustaining members for the state of Ohio is 355, which is great. That's kind of what we wanted. There's the breakdown. We're sitting at 160 basic, 37 bronze, 5 silver, 23 gold, 4 platinum, and 126 lifetime members of the state party. So we are doing well there. We've recently going to be engaging through the next LPO in the know, which we'll talk about later, from another membership ask, especially since a lot of our members just got that STEMI. See if we can convince some of them to turn that into a lifetime membership of the LPO. Other up and comings in finance. I'll talk about my new stuff. Finally got some new stuff for the membership program. I'm in the process of printing 126 new membership cards that'll be going out this week. Basically the 2021 cards for the recurring members and then some new members as well. And some other things that are going into effect for that end. Other than that, we are looking for a finance director. If you are interested in filling that role, www.lpo.org/jobs, or contact me directly. You can use the info@lpo.org. And I'd love to talk to you about that. Potentially in the future, we're still kicking around some ideas with hiring professional fundraisers, but at the moment, we just need to get some other stuff under control first.
Yeah.
Is there any questions for me regarding finance?
For the professional fundraiser, you're planning to hire them on commission, or will you be hiring them on a salary?
You might have misheard that. We may in the future look at professional fundraisers again, but we're trying to shore up the existing programs and maintenance of those first.
Yeah,
we do not have any commissioned or otherwise paid fundraising arrangements available right now.
The first goal is to find a director.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do this anymore.
I guess one other small question would be, was there any plan for doing something similar to the national party in terms of having a referral program?
No. Not at this time. We have kickbacks for county affiliates.
I was going to say, I can talk real quick about kickbacks for counties affiliates. We are looking
They need a better name. Kickback has a negative connotation.
Membership
sharing.
Membership revenue sharing.
Revenue sharing, yeah. Or growth incentive, something like that.
But somebody can think of pretty names for it. I know what it does. I'm sending money for memberships back to counties. That's what we're doing. Right, we currently send 20.
Our general fund goes to some of those.
Basically, 20% of all memberships that are purchased through the state party wind up back in affiliate counties for those counties that have affiliated. And I think Mr. Mueller has a lot of those pending, and we probably still just need to cut those checks. But because that is our donation to them for those affiliates. And that's why we've been trying to encourage some of these new counties to affiliate. And then once they start to see that, hey, we brought in, we're bringing in steady income from these memberships. Let's try to encourage our members to become sustaining members. The state party brings more money back to the county party. And my personal goal is that we can try to, in the next year, I know Jim and I have been discussing it, on increasing from 20% to what's the next step, and I brought it up in the XCOM chat as well, is okay, where can we increase this to sustainably right now that we're still meeting the needs of the state party, and we're pushing back as much as we possibly can afford to the local affiliates out of the membership program, because I really want to, want them to realize that it's for them. Our membership and our party is really going to rely on our county affiliates, and we need to let them know that, we're just not taking this. This is for you guys. And that's all I have on finance.
Any other questions or follow-ups on finance? All right. The Information Technology Division, I will leave this one off. Obviously, the directorship is presently vacant. All other staffing is unchanged for IT. There has been minimal change over the last period of time, although before being dismissed, former director did complete a migration of our outbound email gateways to a different platform, which, while now technically going from in-kind from me cost to some cost, is in a way an increase in cost. It's a lot cheaper than what I was donating. So that allows us to carry on with our mass emailing as well as to have reliable delivery for our one-to-one and transactional emails with a usage-based billing model, which is nice because sometimes we use it and sometimes we don't. You got further?
The only other thing I'm going to bring up with IT is that following the concerns that were brought up regarding the former IT director, myself and Chair Cavoli both conducted independent investigations involving access logs of the CRM to ensure that data had not been compromised, and it is of our opinion that data has not been compromised. And so that is just the biggest noteworthy thing to report from IT, is that the data is secure. We did address this security issue that was raised by our members, and that is why we dismissed the IT director. And that, going forward, we're committed to the security of our data, which has always been kind of a top priority of Jim, that he's kind of forced down on the rest of us, that the rest of us have started to grab hold of, that our data is everything, so let's make sure that it's secure. So that's where we're at right now. Is there any questions for me regarding the IT side? Okay.
All right, with nothing further on IT, we'll move to the communications division.
Okay, communications. I'm working with a. This is a fun one because it's like I potentially have a great director for this. Unfortunately, he's living in Scotland, finishing university. So I'm actually working with a volunteer. He is an Ohio citizen, and he's registered to vote in Ohio as somebody that lives overseas. And he is a libertarian. He donates to the party, and he's helping me with LPO in the Know and some of that end of kind of things. And we're kind of trying to revitalize, bring in some more articles there. So we did put out LPO in the Know last week. It did fairly well. The reporting on it, we're getting better on our mass email list, and it is bringing in a little revenue each month from clicks through. And so I am working with one other individual who's kind of helping there. I still am working with other individuals that previously held this position. As regards to press releases and some other things. So there's a lot of help with communications. We are still looking for a full-time director that just kind of wants to handle, like I said, right now it's just kind of conglomerating a bunch of volunteers that don't want a title, that just kind of want to help out, that hey, I'll help you do stuff. I just really don't want the job. So, and that's kind of what this communication side has been, is wrangling stuff together. But other than that, we're still putting an LPO in the Know. We're still trying to put out press releases as often as we can. And we don't really get many press inquiries.
And I would also, on that note, like to remind all members, anybody with an LPO account, if you sign in with your LPO credentials to the main website, you will have the ability to author and submit for consideration anything you'd like to publish on the blog. If there's a particular issue you're passionate about, or a particular piece of news, local, statewide, or otherwise, anything like that that you would like to contribute, we extend that to all members, and they may or may not be published according to preference, timing, how much content we have generally, editorial review, et cetera, but we're always welcome to submissions.
And most of the time, if you submit a good article, I'm going to post it at least on the website. It'll get posted.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
As long as it's, within bounds as far as the platform's concerned, decency and legality, then sure. We'll publish darn near anything.
Are you looking for to publish?
Sorry?
Do you
all the time?
Want more?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Anytime anybody wants to write articles that they'd like to see on the website, we're welcoming it. Feel free to send it to info@lpo.org.
Do you use any of like I know Franklin County has an op-ed out at least once a month.
That's.
I mean,
I try
we
not
have,
to sometimes, but I try not to steal too much of the county stuff. So
well, yeah, and we've already got the in the know, so.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even
What-
if
but
those
that-
are,
Go ahead, sorry.
But
I'll
I was
yield
just
to you
close
to
the
finish your
loop
thought.
on the Franklin County stuff. Okay, I've read several of those and would have loved if they had also been submitted for publishing on our blog as well. So if you guys want to submit those there as well, sending them out, I'd be thrilled to have. Mr. Trillo.
Would that include, like here in Lucas County, Toledo? There's a group called Ban the Cam, and they're trying to get a ballot initiative to ban red light cameras. We, as a county, of course, support this idea, and some of our folks are helping with a petition drive. If they put together something, would you guys be interested in publishing stuff like that? It's not a party thing, but it's an issue that we support.
I mean,
Okay.
Well,
it's in
that's
line with,
most of the stuff is issues based, right? So we're looking for, even if it's not the most like, oh, it's all about the party. If it's, hey, this is a libertarian ideal I want to talk about, I put together a halfway good article about why we are against this, or why we're for this, or why I think the government's screwing up. Then yeah, let me know. Just spell check it because I suck at that.
Got it. I'll
Trust
try
me,
to
I
get something
get
together.
Aw.
All right. With that, closes out division reports. Any other questions or commentary on the operation of the divisions generally?
Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you to all of the director and Mr. Glasgow for continuing to make sure we stay on top of all of that. Moving right along, we have committee reports. First up would be the 2021 Conference Organizing Committee, which would go to Mr. which is chaired by Mr. Nana.
All right. I think a lot of you here are already on the committee, but so we have selected a site. It's at the Doubletree Hilton, just inside the Outer Belt in Columbus, North Columbus, Worthington. They provided us a phenomenal room rate that just could not be beat or even close to matched. They're giving us $75 a night, which is insane. We toured the facility. We toured all the facilities, but I toured this specific facility with Patrick. Was the 12th, I think. And so we got to go check it out, and make sure it was in good shape. I had actually been there before with Homer a couple years back, looking at places, and it's still in really good shape. They're really flexible to do it however we want to do it. We can do the meal in the ballroom with rounds, and then they can set it up classroom, like the Friday night meal, and then they can set it up classroom for Saturday and Sunday. And their catering is really flexible. Right now, the contract is in the mail. If it's not at the office by Monday, I'll call them and see what's up. I know the mail's been very slow lately, so might just be better to arrange a time for us to meet in person. But his first idea was to mail it, so I think that might be their standard procedure. But we'll see what's up with the contract. Like I said, it's not here by Monday. We'll call him. Daniel Nelson's the sales rep there. Super easy to work with. Patrick can attest to that. I mean, we showed up and he was like the most laid back sales manager I've ever talked to. So pretty cool. We didn't get to tour the rooms, but it's just a standard Hilton hotel room. We were at a time where they were still cleaning the rooms out, but ballroom looks good. Like I said, they can do, without getting into too much detail, they can do all the stuff we need, the hard line that we need for our streaming capabilities. We can even come in weeks in advance and test it, make sure that it is going to work for us. But yeah, right now the stage we're at is we're waiting on the contract. Once we get the contract, then we can do finalization of catering details. I guess it's a separate person that handles that. So, yeah, we're
What are
rolling along.
the dates?
It's like I said earlier. Right now, it's scheduled for the last weekend of August, but we might want to try to move it a week before because of that 50th anniversary thing they got planned. But you know, we could also just say screw it and do it anyhow. We'll see what the hotel says and what the committee decides.
Alrighty.
Okay.
I'll take any questions or comments. That's what I got.
Thank you.
for
When are we deciding on the date? Because people are asking now.
Well, hopefully, and once we get this contract back, like Dustin said,
Like within the next week.
the committee meets on Friday, and we may just, I don't know, Dustin, your opinion, we may just like, if we get if we get the contract back at the beginning of the week, you just want to, we probably hold a vote online, but.
Yeah, probably. That's fine with me. Yeah, I mean the date was set. It was supposed to be set, not like actually set for last week of August. But like I said, we found out after we set the week for our convention or for our conference rather that they were going to do the 50th anniversary thing for national the same weekend. So it's just going to be a decision of whether or not we want to keep that weekend or not. But yeah, I would say we're going to know within the next week.
Yeah, and in either case, the committee will get that sorted out before the end of the month. I would like very much to get the formal announcement and tickets on sale on the 1st of April, or as soon as possible thereafter. But I think we're still on track to do that.
Yeah.
I have one question. If the dates are going to move, I don't know what the makeup is of registered party members in Ohio, but if there's a adequate number of 18-year-olds to mid-20s, would it make sense to look at a couple weeks earlier before some might be going back to university and leaving the state if they maintain their registrations here?
We can definitely keep that in mind when we look at a makeup date, but like I said, that'll depend on what we get this week, and I'm sure Dustin and I both feel the same. We'll try to hopefully have this date set by Friday, so we can. We've got some digital assets we have to build out before the first for an announcement.
Well, on top of the 18 to 21-year-olds, it's also a large amount of Povertarians that may want to attend both. So maybe an additional week of separation wouldn't be awful either.
I can tell you the Povertarians aren't going to be going to the 50th anniversary event. It's not for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to say
It's supposed to be just for fun, like they said, no business at all.
Yeah, but it's not going to be cheap.
No, God, no, it's not gonna be cheap. All right. Well, at least we know.
Anything further for the 2021 conference organizing committee? All right. Thank you, Mr. Nana. And to summarize, everybody hang tight on a date. Just give it a week or so. Now to the other COC, the Convention Oversight Committee. I just realized that I named the one committee I had discretion on naming, I named it with exactly the same initials. So that's great. The Convention Oversight Committee was officially seated by the CENTCOM and conducted elections amongst itself to select a chair, which is Mr. Glasgow. So, Mr. Glasgow again.
So far, all we've really done is elected myself as chair, and it's our first meeting. It's probably going to be March 29th, and we'll get more info from there. But that's where we're at.
I guess if I could jump into the one tiny bit of news, we talked very briefly to Daniel Nelson about the possibility of doing a second event at the same location and maybe saving money because being a repeat customer, but was literally like a 2-sentence conversation.
Yeah, that's one thing Dustin and I have done about that committee so far was we asked the venue we're going to for the conference, like, hey, if we do 2 events here, do we get it cheaper? he said, we can see what we can do. So,
All right, cool. I don't expect there's much else, but anything else for Convention Oversight Committee? All right. That closes out all of the reports. We move to old business and immediately past it, as there is no old business before the committee which can be considered at this time, and into new business. Firstly, review of the ballot initiative by Accountability Now Ohio. We had a special presentation, as a reminder to anyone who forgot, over the course of the last hour from Accountability Now Ohio. Regarding the end of qualified immunity in the proposed ballot language. They were interested in partnership in general on that, as well as potential endorsement of the organization. Are there any motions to be made regarding?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Nana.
I would move that we table consideration of endorsement until the Attorney General approves the first 1,000 signatures and that we have actual like ballot language.
Is there a second?
I'll second the table.
I'll second
Okay, so the motion is to table our review and potential endorsement until such time as the Attorney General has accepted the language.
The
Let's
certified
finalize it,
list.
yeah, however he sees fit or whatever after the first 1,000 is submitted.
All right.
First 3,000. Well, 1,000.
Okay. So the motion has been made to table this item of business.
Second.
And seconded. So, is there any objection to tabling?
Well, just to be clear, Justin's motion was to table an endorsement, not the entire item.
I mean, what else is there to do with the item?
Yeah. Are you suggesting that you know of or would like to perhaps make a different motion regarding?
Well, you did mention the idea of a partnership as well, perhaps involvement. We may still want to do that to help them collect the first 1,000 signatures. So,
That would be it for volunteers.
I would. Okay, let's do this. Let's complete the vote on the motion to table, and then your point there, Derek. Unless you'd like them in the opposite order, we can hold the vote until we do that.
yeah, I would suggest we vote on whether or not we're going to be involved first, and then vote to table just an official endorsement. Second, please.
You could
So-
then attempt.
I
Then if
entertain a motion for the Libertarian Party of Ohio to partner with.
Hold on. Hold on.
For
hang
the-
on. Everybody wait.
There's a motion on the floor.
There's a motion to table consideration, an endorsement of Accountability Now Ohio's ballot initiative until such time as the Attorney General has accepted the language. We will dispose of the vote on that. That motion has been made and seconded. We will dispose of that first, and we will move on to subsequent concerns about the initiative and the group. So, all in favor of moving to table the endorsement until such time stated? Aye.
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 Those opposed? The ayes have it. We will table endorsement until such time as the Attorney General has approved the ballot initiative's language. As to any kind of partnership effort, since we're about to enter new business from the floor, I'm going to try and address this head on now. Firstly, whether we have endorsed or not endorsed any particular ballot initiative does not strictly prohibit any group or affiliate within the state party from supporting other initiatives, helping to collect signatures, etc. Be that somewhat formally or informally, a county affiliate is perfectly within their rights to say, hey, we want to go do this thing and go do that. So technically would be the state party, although I will call out that would be largely symbolic for the state party presently, as we have little to no time or personnel to throw at the matter. So I would strongly encourage local groups at this point in time to go out and investigate the group and the language and decide if they would like to do anything to support and coordinate with that group specifically about it, because until that ballot initiative kind of comes up and is in fact accepted, we have very little else that we can do from the state level about it. However, with that said, we are in new business from the floor, and if anyone would like to make any other motions, which may address Accountability Now Ohio as long as they do not pertain to the endorsement of the proposed ballot language, you may now do so.
May I add to the debate on this instead, like more to the discussion? Would that be in order?
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Jim.
Yeah, I'll allow replies to my comments because we got time.
Okay, but I guess my point was going to be, while we don't have a lot of resources and they are looking at only 1,000 signatures, us say promoting on social media and us passing information on about this organization to the county affiliates and the members via electronic communications, to me would be in part a partnership.
It's the same as an
So if we're able to approve the idea that we would share blog posts, things along those lines, just to help meet the 1,000 signature requirement, to me that would be a quote partnership, unquote.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say this, the particulars of the language used and the mechanisms of communication employed may be materially indistinguishable from an endorsement, and that could constitute a slight problem. However, to the extent that they don't, that's something that everyone is perfectly well empowered to just go do and doesn't need the XCOM to sign off on, as long as you're not endorsing or, any candidate, initiative, legislation, etc., in violation of what has or hasn't been endorsed by the state party. I mean, feel free to operate as you please.
Trust me, the main page isn't the way to get volunteers.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but the main page isn't the way to get volunteers.
No, but the CRM is, and that is a state entity.
And that would be considered an endorsement.
Okay.
I mean, I think if we
Thank you for
just
the
pass along
clarification.
the information, like this is we talked about this during the XCOM committee meeting. If we're just passing that along to the affiliates, that doesn't strike me as an endorsement, and they can take that information as they want it, which I think the party
agree.
should do.
Advising that, providing the review of the fact that the business happened, a link to the presentation, all the information that was discussed here for the awareness of our affiliates or others is perfectly appropriate. Doing so with a prompt to do something or communicate in a particular way about it would get into uncomfortable territory, especially given the table business to endorse. And that's really the beginning and end of it. I think without the endorsement, everyone has exactly the same ability to do those things at this moment as if we passed some kind of resolution or not. And until then, the most appropriate thing to do would be to wait for the actual endorsement to come through and then go crazy. And that's that. I mean, we can get into further debate about it if someone wants to make a motion to that effect. Otherwise, I'd like to trim the conversation there.
Now that clarified it for me. Thank you. No motions at this time.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. Any other new business from the floor?
No.
Okay.
And the fun part.
We did allow a bit of time for that. But the next thing up is public comment, which didn't go great last time. It was too long. But this time around, we have public comment available again. Would direct everyone to the chat section of the stream on YouTube if you would like to submit any comment for the record here. However, I'm currently showing not a lot of people on the live stream, so we will afford the full time if anyone would like to submit any comments for the body, which will be read, acknowledged, and not necessarily replied to during the public comment section.
Oh, Lord.
Who's in these seats for you guys? Jake is chair, right?
Yeah. For XCOM,
Yeah.
vice chair is Nathan Wise.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Secretary is Mike Mains,
Nice.
and treasurer is Melissa Redford.
I'm gonna do what I did last week and make a motion to close public comment. Or last month, rather.
No. Oh, you're asking me? April, whatever the third
Michelle
Thursday
mentioned
is,
that
April
she sent
15th,
my
I think.
Tina to us.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to move to
Yeah.
close public comment.
Second.
Made and seconded to close the public comment section. Is there any opposition? Without objection, public comment is closed at this time. We'll move to the final item of business, setting the next regular meeting. Everybody break out the calendars. We're looking for April's date. Presently, I will just recite for everyone's reference. In our tradition of avoiding major holidays and religious festivals, we have Easter the first weekend of April. Ramadan begins on the 13th. The 15th is technically no longer a tax day asterisk, so that's great. And Earth Day is the 22nd.
The 10th?
I suggest the 24th.
Yep, I was gonna move that. So, if you want to consider his a motion and mine a second.
I'll move to set it for April 24th.
Yep, and I'll second
Right,
that.
so the motion to set the next regular meeting for the 24th of April at 6230 Bush Boulevard, Columbus, Ohio, US, Suite 102, and online by the usual electronic means at 10 a.m. is what I heard. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. All right.
Actually,
with
could I
motion made-
amend that to 10:30? I'm hoping to actually attend in person next time.
Oh.
Oh, exciting.
I'll
I'm
grace
Yeah.
you with my presence.
How about this?
10:30?
If we're doing, can we just do flat 11 at that point, and then I'll probably just come in too. That 10's a little early for me to come in person, even though I'm only 30 away.
If between the two of you, you can figure out what time it is in the motion that you've made. In the
I'm
second.
fine for 11. I'll move for 11 o'clock.
All right, it was moved for 11 o'clock. I must have heard that wrong. Mr. Nana, you seconded, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, and so with the motion to set the next regular meeting of the executive committee to hear at 11 o'clock on the 24th of April and online by the usual electronic means, is there any objection? And it is so resolved. The next regular meeting will take place on the 24th of April, as previously described. I'm not reciting it again. All right. That exhausts the agenda as adopted, which brings us to the conclusion of the meeting at 11:46 a.m. We stand adjourned.
These are the fastest.
And can I
as
just
as a reminder for
It's
everyone
still
that is
recording
watching,
and-
yes, there is a training that is going to be held at 2:30 You can check it out at lpo.org/events for LPO, CRM, and digital tool training for state and county leaders. So that is going to be at 2:30 because that is the time I previously broadcasted. Give me time to eat some lunch.
That's good.
All right. Thank you all very much. We stand adjourned.
Bye.
Okay, I'll go ahead and cut the live stream.
Have a good one, everybody. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Done before noon, and we had 2 special.